Hey guys, welcome back to the Relationship Challenge. You know, over the last several weeks, we've talked a lot about tools and techniques and ways we can do things to help our relationships thrive. And this week, Lisa and I would like to talk a little bit about language, the way we phrase things, some phrases that we think could really help you be productive in your relationships.
Well, and if we're honest, I mean, the way that we've nuanced some of this language is because we didn't do it very well. We were using language and phrasing that was not productive. It didn't help our communication at all. So when we've sort of figured some things out, we actually wrote it down. So today, we actually think that it would be a good idea for you to have a pen and paper. I think, Andy, you'll probably put it on the screen,
Yeah,
too.
we'll throw them up on the screen, but you'll want to write some of these down. And Lisa, let me say this, because a lot of times when I'm being led like this, I kind of, maybe it's the cynical side of me, but I think, oh, that's too easy, it's too simple, they're just sort of taking an easy week off. Listen, these are hard to do and hard to implement. They seem simple, but what I say is it's not just phrases and language. When we incorporate this into our relationships and the way we speak, it really says that I respect you, I respect this relationship, that I care enough that I'm going to choose my words carefully and change them slightly so that they respect you more and let you know that I care about you.
Well, and oftentimes, we've mentioned this before, we oftentimes send a message that we don't intend to send. So today, we're just focusing on what is language or phrasing that sends the right message.
And this list that we're going to give you, we're going to go through several that we've just come up with off the cuff. Now, I will tell you, you could make a huge list of what to say differently that would really tell the other person, you know, I care. And that, you know, so let's go through a short list.
Sure. Okay, so let's start with the first one. We learned a long time ago to not ask each other, are you mad? Or what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, immediately when you ask another person, are you mad or what's wrong?
Well, I am now.
Right.
Now that you asked.
So we learned how to say to each other, are you okay? Because you don't seem okay. And that word seem is really important because it's basically saying what you usually are is, you know, more happy-go-lucky or easier to talk to. And right now, either you're quiet or something about
different.
you seems off or seems wrong.
And when you ask me that in a way, Lisa, instead of feeling blamed, and I know you're not blaming me for anything, but when you ask it in a way like that, like, hey, are you don't seem okay, instead of, are you mad? It makes me feel like you really care about me, like you're caring about what's going on with me, not just, well, you seem mad. You're sort of in my way today with your emotions. So it just feels better.
Yeah, so that one is, that one's a definite.
You know, very close to that one is another thing that you do so really well. And you really come to me a lot of times to say, I don't think you meant to come across this way, but just now when you said this, it kind of landed on me like this, you know, and I love, instead of just sort of getting mad about the way I would poorly choose some phrases, you just say, hey, I don't think you meant to. You're assuming best, you know, you're assuming good, like we talked about a few weeks ago.
Well, and there have been times for me, kind of like we said earlier, if I don't know how I'm coming across, it is very helpful to me if I can receive your influence, if I can hear it. It's helpful for me when you say, you know, I don't even know if you knew that you came across this way.
And we have found that many times that is true for us, and that I don't realize how I'm coming across. And a lot of times, if I come across in a negative way, it's the opposite of really what I was intending. And then we don't get into a spiral.
Right.
But this is really being good partners. No matter who that other person is, you can just say, hey, I don't think you meant to come across this way. And it's a way to impersonalize something that you could take personally, too.
Yeah. So let me just sort of press pause for a second before we move on to the next one, because what we're talking about, this phrasing and this language, it requires that you are emotionally regulated. Like if you're all heightened in your emotion and that's all activated inside you, you're probably not going to have good access to this. So I understand that it is important that if you are not regulated emotionally, like if you're really mad or if you're really frustrated or really scared, you need to kind of press the timeout button and say, hey, can I just have a minute to kind of think through, so that you actually can use this phrasing. So if we keep going.
Yeah, well, the next one I can think of is, and we've taught this in other classes, you've probably heard it before, but it's really this simple. Can you help me understand? Because when I don't understand, it's just such a respectful way to go, can you help me understand? Because I don't, can you say more? Can you help me? Instead of blaming the other person for not communicating well, it's you that needs the understanding, so we're simply asking for that.
And it's just a good way. When something doesn't make sense to you, it's kind of like you're admitting, wait a minute, I don't have all the puzzle pieces here. I don't have all the information. So can you give me a few more puzzle pieces?
Yeah, can you say
help
more?
me?
Yeah. Good.
All right, so moving on. This one is a big one that we figured out, is we learned how to not use extremes like always and never.
I love extremes. I love them. I like to over accentuate. I like flowery language. It kind of comes from a writing perspective for me. But yeah, I was really horrible at this early in our marriage. I would be like, you remember the story way back a few weeks ago we told in there where I told Lisa she was the most negative person on the planet. And that's not literally true. So try not to use, those emphatics like always and never. They never really work. Here's one for you. They never work.
So we've learned how to say oftentimes or sometimes. And we mess up and we will say always and never, but you can always back up.
Yes.
You can say, oh, shoot, I didn't mean to say always. I didn't mean to say never. Oftentimes or sometimes works just as well.
Okay, a few weeks ago we taught you about mirroring, when you're mirroring back what the other person is saying, and one of the really key phrases in that is a question. You should still remember it and go back if you don't, but is this what I hear you saying? Look, you don't have to be doing some structured mirroring exercise to ask a great question of that other person. Is this what I hear you saying? It brings understanding. Again, it helps them explain to you and gives you more perspective. So and also, is there more?
Right.
Is there more?
It helps you to develop, it helps us to develop as a listener when you're still saying, am I getting it? Is this what I hear you saying? So to turn off your brain and really focus on that other person actually helps them feel valued and them feel cared about. So then the next one we have on the list is whenever I realize that I haven't communicated well about a certain category or a certain topic, I will start with, I know I haven't historically done a good job at talking about this. For us, I know for me it was often finances. When we would have conversations about finances, I often got scared, and so how it would come out would be typically really controlling or something like that. So anymore, when we talk about it, I'll say, I know I haven't done a good job about this in the past, so if I start sounding controlling or if I start sounding defensive or anything that's just not productive or kind, will you tell me? Because that's not how I want to come across.
And it comes across in such a respectful way, and it's not just respect, it's this really tender way of saying, hey, look, I know I'm not perfect, and I may not do this well, and I'm giving you permission to help us not go down bad roads. And to me, there's something inside me, Lisa, when you say that, hey, I know I historically haven't done something well, and if I do go down a wrong road, help me.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that gives me an out. I don't feel boxed in all of a sudden in the conversation. I know that you've given me permission to sort of take a time out and say, hey, we need to stop or we need to start this over.
Yeah.
So it's a good way of doing it.
It seems like to me it disarms you and really kind of opens you up
very
to
much so.
Going down a path that we haven't done very well in the past.
That's right.
So another one is I remember talking about this one because so many times when I didn't understand something, I would just start asking a whole bunch of questions. But I would ask them in a way with a tone that I think it made you feel like I was questioning you. And so I had to learn how to say to him, like, I need to ask you some questions, but they're just questions for me because I don't understand. I'm not questioning you. And you seemed to, like, that seemed to land a whole lot better on you. It seemed to make things more productive.
Absolutely. It told me that you literally are wanting to understand and you need more information, but it's not mistrust.
Right.
Because asking lots of questions seems to come across as mistrust to some people. So this is, no, I trust you. I just need to understand more. I need more information. And so that helps me a lot.
Okay, so moving on, we've got two more. One that we use a lot is that makes sense to me because, and the place that we would use that is if he's telling me about something, especially about something that maybe I've done that hurts him or bothers him or has frustrated you. When I say that makes sense to me because, and I finish it, that tells you that I actually heard what you were saying.
Yeah.
I don't just say, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, he might be going, do you get it? Do you understand how you hurt me? But when I say that makes sense, because I don't like that either, or I don't like when that happens to me, then we've actually communicated really well.
It's very empathetic, for sure. All right, and then, I don't know, give it the last one. Just give us our last one.
Well, so there's this last phrase is, like when we're talking to each other about things, especially things that we're partnering in or things that we, need to get done, it just works a lot better when we say, I get to, instead of, well, I have to. Because as partners, there are things that we have to do that aren't all that fun, right? So phrasing it in a way, and I know some of you are going to get sarcastic about this one, I get to take out the trash.
Lisa, it occurs to me that a lot of this is tone. It's really just switching words a little bit, because most of us don't really want to have a relationship that is not thriving. Most of us want to have good relationships. And so if we can look back at all these weeks and learn through a few tools and techniques and tone, it really goes a long way.
It does go a long way.
Well, we've had a blast.
We have.
In this whole series. We can't wait. We've got a couple weeks left, and we look forward to seeing you guys again on the Relationship Challenge.